Hi, everybody. Welcome to week 3 of Mud and Music Clay Camp. And this week we are making shakers. And I'm going to turn you over to Steve first, and he'll show you how to play them and teach you about the history of them. And then you'll come back here and I'll show you how to make one. So I'll see you soon.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Mud and Music, week 3. That's right, week 3. So we've made the ocarina, we've made a udu drum, and then this week we're going to do shakers or rattles. And these are of the idiophone uh, category of an instrument. Idiophone simply means that produce sound through vibrations of the entire body of the instrument. No vibrating strings or membranes. So it's just the instrument itself makes all the sound. So some common ones might include the claves, rattles, bells, cymbals. Cymbals are idiophone, and the marimba. You just hit it. They're usually constructed of glass, metal, ceramics, shells, or wood, and clay. Rattles are musical instruments created of clay or other material that have a hollow body. So we take the hollow body and we put whatever in there to make it shake, and it's loose beads of clay. That was what you're going to be putting in there. It makes a noise when they'll be shaken. So some of the earliest rattles were from the Egyptians and made of pottery. And Old Kingdom rattles, Puri's rattle gave handles in different shapes. So there's no limit to the shape of your shaker. So it's your project, and you can make it any way you want. But I have 3 examples of some shakers that some people have made. This kind of looks like a rock. If you can see, it looks like a rock, and it makes a certain sound if you shake it. I know you can hear that, and each one will have a different sound, depending on the size of it or how thick the clay is. So to play this, it's kind of a tricky concept, but it's like a back and forth, up and down. So you go out, down, out, back, forth, up, down, out, out and down, out and down. So you get that shake. Then you can put it this. Oh yeah. Hey. So you get that one. There's that one. It's kind of looks like these are all shaped differently. This one's more of a round kind of a shape, and this has a little different sound. So we'll compare the sounds. Little, because compared to a little higher pitched than this one. Same concept. Out, out, out and down, out and down, out and down, out and down, out and down. And then we have another one. This one also has beads in it. I got to cover the hole so they don't fall out, but this one has the even higher pitch. And then the third one. And this one sounds. So it's all the same concept as playing it. So you're going to have fun with this. You can make it however you want to make it. You can put a handle on it. But at least it's going to help you with that. And I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then once we get all our projects together, we're going to have I'll play them all together, and it'll be a lot of fun. So you guys have a great time with Mud and Music, and we'll see you next time.
Hi, everybody. So today, for Project 3, we are making shakers out of clay. These are some shakers that some of my students last March made when we didn't know that we were going to have a pandemic, and we thought we were having our clay camp then. So we made these ahead. They were helping. But anyway, so you can see them, and you can shake them. I think Steve was using some of them when he was showing you. And so you can hear the noise that they make inside. They have little pellets inside of them that are actually made out of clay. And that's what this is right here. These are little clay pellets that I made. So step number 1 in making your shaker is to make your clay pellets first. That's the first step. So you're going to unwrap your plastic. And I have little clay pellets flying around here. Okay, and you're going to pull off some of your clay. And then you want to always put what you've probably figured out by now. Wrap it back up so it doesn't dry out on you, right? Okay. So, you just pull off a little clay. And you know how when you have your big lump of clay that you're going to make, when you made your ocarina, you made a big ball? Well, now you just roll it. You can use the canvases that I gave you, or that's probably the best thing to use. So this one's a little bit larger, but it's better to make them larger than smaller because we have to make a hole in your shaker because it'll blow up in the pottery kiln if there's no hole in it. So that's what I've been running into. The pellets have been coming out. So anyway, so I'm going to make a whole bunch of them. You can see but they can be all different sizes. But like this one right here is a little small. It'd probably come out. But once we're all finished, you can actually plug this hole up once it's been fired. So it's up to you. But anyway, you can see these are all different sizes. So you're going to make, I'd say this is probably like at least like 10 to 20 of them, not a lot, you know. About that amount is perfect. And I'm going to give you a little plate. So you'll put them on a plate, and then you're going to take your plate, carefully take your plate, put it outside to dry. So the first thing is you make your pellets. You can also hold them in your hand. Actually, I think this works better. Roll them like that. There you go. That's better. Makes them a little more rounded. See that? I'm going to make a little one. There. Okay. There. And so you'll take your plate and you'll put it outside in the sun because we want our pellets to be dry. So while you're making your shaker, you will have your plate outside in the sun drying. Okay? So that's step number 1. Then you're going to want to go ahead and pull some more clay off. And the wonderful thing about this project today is that you're going to do great at it because it's basically the same technique that we used when we made the ocarina, except for it's easier. We don't have to put a mouthpiece on or put holes in it, okay? So you're basically going to use the same hand-building pinch pot method to create your shaker, and it's basically the same steps minus the mouthpiece and the holes, okay? All right, so you have your pellets all made. They're outside, sitting outside in the sun, drying. And you're going to take your clay out, but you're going to need some clay. Remember we made those little pinch Band-Aids for the seam on the ocarina? So I'm going to grab some clay and put it aside to make sure I have enough, okay? Because this is a pretty good sized lump of clay. You can make whatever size that you want. Okay, so then you're going to take it and you're going to hit it into a ball, just like you did on your ocarina. Okay, so there. We have a ball, and I kind of got a crack there, so I'm going to smooth it. And I'm going to keep hitting it. You can put it down on the table, on your canvas, and roll it. And next, you're going to take your knife. Let me find my knife. There it is. You're going to take your knife, and you're going to cut it in half. Just like you did when you did your ocarina. So this is step 2. Step 1, make the little balls, put them out in the sun. Step 2, make a big lump of clay into a ball, cut it in half, put one side down, and then you're going to hold it in your hand. You're going to take your thumb and your fingers and stick your thumb in there and pinch. Okay? Now you want to hold it in your hand. If you put it down on the table, it'll make the bottom flat. I think you'll remember that. And you just kind of pinch around. And then you're going to do the same thing to the other side. And just, you can kind of smooth it. See how I'm smoothing the inside? But by keeping it in the palm of my hand, it keeps it nice and round. And I just keep going around and pinching it. Okay, so this was actually Step 2 was making the ball and cutting it in half. So this was actually step 3, where you pinch the 2 halves. So we're going to move on to step 4, where we slip and score the 2 pieces together to make it one whole round sphere form. So I'm going to take my extra clay that I stashed away. There's, you can see I have my 2 bowls. So I'm going to just sit there and really fast pinch my little band-aids, I call them. Somebody one time called them that, and I thought, oh, that's a good way to describe it. Okay, these might be a little too big. There we go. So so you guys have all done this before, so this is kind of great. So I think you're going to have a nice time. It'll be easier for you than some of the first 2. But even if they were challenging, even if they didn't turn out how you wanted them to be, it's just nice to work with clay, and you got the experience of working with clay and seeing whether you like it or not, and it's just fun. It's just a fun thing, even if you don't ever make anything. It just makes you feel good to work with clay. Okay, so anyway, so I have my Band-Aids. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, this is step number 4, I'm going to slip and score. I'm going to move my plastic, get it out of my way, and I'm going to grab some slip. Let's see, I think I will use, what color slip? I got all these different colors here. I think I'll use blue slip. Neon blue. Okay. And you should have, you'll get some new colors, and you probably have some left over, but we'll give you some more colors to go with your shaker. And then I think I'll go ahead and, like you can see, the bottom's starting to get kind of flat from sitting there, so you can always get it round again. So I'm painting the blue slip, and then I'm just going to push down in the center a little bit just to help my little flat bottom. Okay, so then paint the other side, and remember, if you remember, you don't want to let it get dry, so you probably won't be talking as much as I'm talking while you're doing it. Okay, so there's that. And then you're going to take your fork, and so that's the slip. They call it it's underglaze, but another name for underglaze is slip. And then I just scored it with my fork. Put that side down, and then I'm going to score this side. Now, before I put them together, though, you have to go, I forgot to tell you, go outside and get your pellets. And so I'm going to pull out these ones that I just made because they're not dry yet. But the reason you want them to dry, your pellets dry, can you see them right there? I'm going to go ahead and put them inside there. And the reason you want them dry is because your clay is wet. But if the pellets are dry, they won't stick. And we don't want them to stick because we want them to make the shaker noise, right? The instrument noise. So then I'm going to put my 2 halves together. And I already I measured it before. Just make sure that it fit good. And then I'm kind of just going around. And now the underglaze slip is being used kind of like a glue. And I'm kind of taking my finger and just kind of pushing it gently because I can see it kind of wants to keep separating. And then by kind of twisting it just a little bit, it makes it adhere. Okay, so now I'm going to take my Band-Aids and stick them on there and go all the way around with my Band-Aids. Okay, so I put the extra pieces of clay around the seam, and now I've been smoothing it all the way around. I just use my finger. You can also use your plastic spoon. Let's see, there it is. Your plastic spoon will work good for smoothing too if you want. But now, one of the things I like about using my finger is I can feel like right here, there's like an indentation that tells me that it's kind of thin there. So I'm going to add some more clay right there. Because if it's thin in some areas, sometimes that area will be like your weak spot and it'll want to collapse there or maybe crack when you're working on it. So any area like I can feel right here, that area is a little bit thin. So I'm going to add some extra clay there. See that? And then I just kind of smooth around. Now I'm not going to take the time to smooth this a whole bunch because I want, I don't have the time. I just need to keep going so I can show you what to do. But what's really cool is you can feel your pellets rolling around. You can hear them. Okay, so now let's see, where are we? Okay, so we're on step 5 now. Step 5 is design and paint your rattle with underglazes. So you create a design. I gave you like a page that has like, you can make it round or you can make it more of an oval shape if you want to kind of hit it. See, it becomes more of an oval form. It's up to you. And I always like to look at the silhouette of my vessels, my pottery that I'm making, and try and get that line how I want it. Because if you look at the very edge of it, you can shape it to how you want that line, the contour line of your form. But anywhere that I see while I'm working it, I'll add a little bit. I still have a little extra clay I can add. Okay, so anyway, you've drawn your design. I gave you a lot of different pictures and a lot of different ideas. And then you'll just go ahead and paint it just like you did. I think I'm wanting blue. So you're going to paint, but you can paint as many colors as you want, whatever colors you have. And you can also find things around your house. Like I have these shells I just found. I can go ahead and push those in and make some textures on there. You can do it before you paint, but sometimes it's better to wait till after you painted it because when you paint it'll cover up your design. I like rocks. Those of you who know me, I like to make clay rocks. So I always like to use a rock to make a texture on my pottery so it'll actually look like a rock. Because if you use a rock to impress, whatever you press into the clay, it'll make an impression on it. And so if I want rock texture, I use a rock to give it texture. I also have these like little, I guess they're cookie cutters. They're kind of fluted on one side. And if I wanted, I can make a design. See, I didn't cut through all the way. I just cut enough so you could see the circle, the line. So I could make a whole design with that on there. And then I also, let's see, maybe I'll put some purple kind of into those colors right now. So you can mix your colors. Feel free to just really express yourself freely while painting and designing. But you can do it like if you want to like make it more exact, you can do that, or you can just go with the clay and see what kind of impressions it makes. So I'm going to put some squares. I want to do the fluted one is kind of nice too. Yeah, let's make some designs in there. See that? You can also, I'm just doing a whole bunch of different things so I can give you some ideas. You can also, and you might want to paint a few layers before you start putting designs. It's up to you. Just have fun with it. I did have this wooden tool that I gave you. You definitely want to put your name in there. So I'll go ahead and put my name. But you can carve designs with it. And see that it has a little piece of clay. You just kind of pull out the clay. If you let it dry a little bit, it'll carve easier for you. I just put my name in there. It's really important that you put your name or your initials because we have so many people making them that it'll be hard once it's all finished to know whose is who. So, see, I just put my name in there. Yeah, so anyway, so those are some ideas on designing, okay? And you can see, but the one thing you want to do is with the underglazes, this one right here, it has 2020, it says hope on it, and it's really black because the person painted it really, really thick black on there. Put some texture over here. But you can see that this has no glaze. This is just the underglaze with like 3 to 4 coats. Whereas this one right here is fairly thin. It's not really shining. The thicker you put the underglaze, it'll have more of a shiny surface. And then the thinner, like 1 or 2 coats, this one kind of starts to have a sheen. But they use black and red. I like the contrast of their design on this. But actually, once we put a glaze on it, it'll make it shiny. But they might want to put some more underglaze. This one doesn't have very much underglaze on it at all, but it's actually very pretty, and you can see the natural color of the clay once it was bisque fired. These have only been fired once. They don't have a glaze on them yet. This is just the underglaze that they painted. You can see on there. So one more thing, let's see, where am I? I want to make sure I haven't forgot. Okay, so wrap it in plastic, carve, press, design, yes, when finished. Okay, so I think I've pretty much, you can follow all the directions pretty well. You've already made this really with the ocarina, but it's easier like we talked about. But I also wanted to show you these that I have. I got in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, many years ago. But they were made, these are ceramics, and they were made the same way that we're making them. So you can see I have a whole bowl of fruit. I just picked these 2 out. But see the leaf that they put on there? And they're just real primitive, as you can see. And there's a hole. But they don't have any pellets inside, but they could be. But then when I went to grab those, I found this one that I had made, I think, years ago when I taught this same kind of workshop. And I had forgot it was in there. But anyway, it's a piece of fruit too that I had started. I didn't quite finish it, but you can see I was showing people the different designs. And it has the pellets inside that I made. So anyway, so it's kind of fun. I didn't even realize it was in there, but I did put a leaf on it, see? So you could put stuff on it. Okay, so anyway, so let me just kind of go over, since this is our last project for the camp, I want to thank everybody for participating. And I just really appreciate all the work that you've done and just, coming and showing up and bringing everything back. So I just want to thank you for participating. Now, for the next 2 Mondays, I also have those scheduled. Next Monday, you'll drop off your shaker once it's finished. And then, and if I have the ocarinas finished, some of you will get to take those home. I also need you to return all your supplies. You can keep the plastic, knives, those kind of things. But if you have any extra underglazes, and then the wooden tool and that sort of thing, please bring, and my canvases, bring those back. But if you have extra you haven't used yet, please go ahead and make something. Just go ahead and use like the techniques that I've been teaching you, the pinch pots and the coil technique. Go ahead and make them and bring those too, and you can paint them with if you have extra underglaze, and I'd be happy to fire them for you along with your musical instruments. And then so next Monday you'll bring all that back, and then the following week I'm hoping to have all your pieces finished. And so I will go, we'll meet again. So I'll send out a schedule for next week, next Monday and the following Monday. And hopefully by the end of the month, you'll take all your musical instruments home. So thank you very much. And I'll see everybody tomorrow at the curbside pickup. Bye.